No parent is perfect, but if progress is the goal, then learning from our mistakes is a worthy focus. My next guest is zeroing in on 5 mistakes good mothers make and what we can learn from them. Jessie Funk is the founder of Ivy Girl Academy. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
So we all make mistakes, that goes without saying. How can those mistakes become learning moments for any parent in any age or stage of parenting?
I think we can choose to see it as a learning moment. You know, we can say, oh my gosh, I totally made a mistake. I own that. I'm gonna learn from that and I'm gonna move forward, because that's gonna teach our kid to do the same thing when they make mistakes.
Love it. Let's start with the teenage space if we can, kind of your area of specialty and focus. All moms out there, all moms I know want their teenagers to open up to them just a little bit more, but you say there's one common mom mistake we make that shuts them down at the door. Yeah,
I call it minimizing their pain. So if a kid comes home and they're just crying, you know, she's saying, Susie made fun of my unsymmetrical earlobes, Mom, and you're just like, oh my gosh, like that's the dumbest thing. Like in our minds, that's what we're thinking.
Right,
like, let me show you a real problem. But we can't minimize that for her, because for her, that's her reality. Like that's something that's important to her. So empathy, 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 just listening, just having some empathy for her. I'm so sorry, that sucks. Tell me more about it. Like, let her talk, let her vent.
There's a line there, right? There's a balance line there. I'm thinking back to a high school advisor I had, and I felt like she did that too much. Like
really?
She played up the emotional drama of what was happening. So
yeah.
What is the balance there?
I think that's a really good point. Like to be able to listen and then at some point, like if she's carrying on for hours about this, if she's crying for hours, say, honey, like really, we need to move forward from this. How can I help you move forward? Yeah. Like maybe for the first like 5 minutes and weigh it out. Like if it's something about like you making fun of, like someone made fun of their shoes, you know, let that happen for 5 or 10 minutes and then say, okay, let's move forward. Let's go do something. Let's move on from this.
Okay. All right. Why do you think moms fall into that be a friend trap?
Because it's easy and because it's fun. I think we want to be friends. I want my kids to like me.
Sure.
I want to have fun with them. I'm a yellow personality. I want to play. I want to have fun. So I think it's easy and it's fun to do that. But we have to remind ourselves we really are the parent. Our kid needs us. That's the best gift we could ever give them, is to give them limits and boundaries and consequences for bad behavior. We have to be the parent.
Another common mom mistake you say so many mothers make is taking things too personally, especially when your teenager, your child, is flat out being mean to you.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was talking to this cute mom and her daughter the other day, and the mom was just like, she's just so mean, she's just so mean. And I was trying to help her understand, like, she doesn't really have the capacity to be mean just to be mean. She really doesn't. Teenagers don't. I would argue that no human does. There's always something underneath the meanness. So we have to take a step back, even though it hurts. And I think it's okay to say, that really hurt. I don't like how you're talking to me. I don't deserve to be talked to like that. So I think it's okay to say it, but then say, but honestly, honey, I know that's not about me. I think this is about you. What's going on? What's underneath this?
And in those words, I love those words, they're brilliant as always, but you're maintaining parental control of the situation. You're not turning into the friend, you're not turning into the victim, the wounded puppy, you're maintaining control, but still expressing your feelings.
Absolutely, and I think it's important to do that, like to stay calm as well, instead of like flying off the handle and saying, you're so mean, and running into the room and slamming the door. We have to still be the parent. We have to control a little bit, even though it's so hard. I struggle with this all the time, but just controlling and absolutely teaching them how we want them. Oh, and it also kind of calls out their behavior, because they're using a tactic to get what they want, so it's a form of manipulation. So if we call it out and say, this is about you, this isn't about me, it's going to teach them as well.
In the moment, that teaching moment. When it comes to uncomfortable conversations, right, and there are many of them, we could tick them off, but you say the biggest mistake a lot of parents make is simply to shut down and not talk about, not address the discomfort head on.
Yeah, I think a lot of parents really do have good intentions. A lot of parents are aware that they need to talk about really uncomfortable things like sex, periods, pornography, suicide, cutting, eating disorders, like the really hard things that we don't want to talk about.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, and I think we know that we need to talk about it, but I think a lot of parents with the best of intentions, they really think their kid is okay. Like they think, my kid's doing great. She's doing okay in school. He's on the basketball team. Like he's basically happy. He's fine. I don't need to talk about it, but you have to. You have to talk about it with them, because it gives it less power. If we talk about bullying, it gives bullying less power. If we talk about suicide, it gives suicide less power over their lives. And especially with your boys, talk about pornography. Talk about it as much as you possibly can, even though it's so hard and uncomfortable.
We can't jump in and put the words into every parent's mouth for every particular situation, but Jessie, is there anything we can do to make that situation be more comfortable, set up the conversation for success, if that's the right term?
Yes, here it is. You ready? Talk in the car.
In the car.
In the car. They do not have to look you in the eye.
Okay.
And they're captive. They're a captive audience. They can't go anywhere.
They are seatbelted
in the car is the best place to talk about uncomfortable things.
Why are we so worried about not being being the perfect parent?
Because I think we want our kids to see us as perfect. Like I think every human wants to have that idea that we're okay somehow. But honestly, it is one of the best gifts you could give your kids to say, I am so sorry, I made a mistake, I own that, I was wrong. To let them hear you say those words, it's one of the best things you could give to them, because then you have a better relationship. They will want to talk to you more, they'll feel safer, and you're teaching them that it's okay to make mistakes. You're teaching them that they don't have to be perfect. And there is too much perfectionism amongst our teenagers especially. That's the biggest thing that I see that's a huge, huge problem that is leading to bullying and suicide and eating disorders and cutting. Perfectionism is a disease. So teaching your kid that it's okay to make mistakes, one of the best gifts you can give them.
Double reward. Good for them, good for the relationship.
Yes.
Jessie, thank you so much. Where can we go to find out more about your workshops and your events?
We do have an Ivy Girl Academy leadership pageant coming up on December 2nd. And we're so excited. It's in South Jordan. Tickets are on sale at ivygirlacademy.com. It's going to be so fun.
You're doing so many great things to promote the great things out there in teenagers. So thank you for sharing it with us. We'll put a link over to on our website too, studio5.ksl.com.